This is a response to the hour or so of slut shaming, victim blaming, and rape apology that Onision has done in the last week in the name of trying to embarrass and humiliate his ex. He decided that he wanted to clear his name, and in doing so, he decided to put her sexual history on blast. He decided to call her a slut. And then, in defense of everybody getting upset over this, he decided to dig the hole a little bit deeper and tell people how many people they could sleep with before they become a slut.
I posted on my Facebook that everybody who's had sex with more than 10 people by the age of 30 are sluts. To be only 26 and to have slept with over 20 people is ridiculous.
He talks about the dictionary definition of the word, which last I checked didn't have a number attached to it. He goes on and on about how he only has sex for love, which is totally great, and that's his choice. But he also tries to take away other people's choices by saying that that's the only reason you should have sex, and that if you do it for any other reason, you're a slut and you're immoral, and all of this stuff that is really totally relative based on how you personally feel. There are some morals that should be imposed on people, such as murder being wrong because it actually hurts somebody else. But when two parties are consenting to having sex, really there isn't a victim involved. So, for some reason, as a society, we're still demonizing these choices as if they were murder, as if they were something horrible that really hurt somebody else when they're not.
Now let's say somebody made a video saying that anybody who has sex with 6 people before the age of 30 is a total slut. I'm going to look at this video and I'm going to go, okay. like, I would not care.
Of course he's not offended by that type of video, because as a man in this society, he doesn't have to deal with the backlash of being called a slut. He would be celebrated. He would be told by all his friends that he's such a pimp and that he did a great job for going and sleeping with some woman. Whereas a woman gets mocked. A woman gets scolded. She gets told that she's horrible. She actually gets called a slut, whereas men don't. And in certain cases, she'll be victimized because of her reputation. Because a man will say, oh, she's had sex with everybody. She might as well have sex with me, regardless of whether or not she wants it. They'll assume that she wants it, and they'll give it to her. And that's exactly the type of attitude that he outlines in this next clip.
And of course, she goes to insinuate that when we did make love, that I was forcing her into it, that I was pressuring her into it, and she didn't really want to. That's funny coming from someone who slept with over 20 people. That's really funny.
The fact that he let that go up on YouTube, didn't apologize for it, didn't say he was wrong or recognize that he was wrong, just shows how ignorant he is to what's going on in this world. The fact is that rapists have gone up on the stand and put a woman's sexual history on display for everybody to see in an attempt to justify raping her. This is a problem that has been so bad that there have been laws passed to prevent rapists from doing it in the future. And there he is using this defense right there on YouTube and not even thinking that there's something wrong with that. I can't say whether or not what happened between them was consensual. I can say that a lot of the statements he's made in the past 5 or 6 days have made me believe her, just because he seems to have the standard rapist mentality.
You shouldn't text a person repeatedly all the sexual things that you want to do with them, and tell them on the phone all the things that you want to do with them, and talk about giving them oral on a road trip all the way back home because you're planning on taking it from one state to another. You shouldn't be extremely sexual with someone if you don't plan on being sexual with them, and then turn around and be surprised when they had sex with you.
Sounds an awful lot like when men say things like, well, she was wearing a short skirt, she was asking for it. Or, why did you dance with me or take this drink from me, you tease? Or, she should have expected to get raped because she was walking alone in an alley at night. All of these ways to blame the victim for what happened to them instead of accepting that you forced yourself on a woman. Nothing short of an uncoerced yes is a reason to have sex with a woman. Even if she was flirting with you, even if she told you she would want to have sex with you at some point, even if she acted like she wanted to have sex with you all day, if you get down to it and she doesn't want to, You don't have the right to take it there. And even if she says yes, and then in the middle of it, she decides that she doesn't like it or she wants to stop, if you keep going, you're raping her. That's it. And maybe you don't like that, and maybe that sucks, but that's the reality. So instead of sitting there and saying that she deserved it because she did this, unless she said, yes, I want to do this, and you didn't put any other pressure on her, you don't have a case. You don't have a leg to stand on. What you did was wrong. I know that recently you said that you haven't read a book since high school, so I shouldn't be surprised at the ignorance you've displayed. But I really hope in the future that you do a little research, and you do a little reading, and you do all this stuff before you make really ignorant, really dangerous remarks to a crowd of impressionable children and teenagers. You don't seem to want to acknowledge why the things you said are dangerous, why the things you said cause a problem for people. But somebody is going to take what you said and they're going to use it to justify to themselves or to other people why they hurt somebody. Someone's going to take what you said and they're going to go and mock a woman for it. They're going to call her a slut and they're going to laugh at her and she's going to be humiliated. She's not going to be humiliated because what she did was wrong, but because someone's mocking her. See, women aren't ashamed of having sex because there's something inherently wrong with doing so. They're ashamed because from an early age they're taught that they should be. Meanwhile, men are taught that they should be proud. That's where the disconnect is. That's where the double standard is. And you're refusing to acknowledge that double standard and how it's going to make someone feel. Worse than that, someone might take what you said and use it to justify raping somebody. I hope that's something you can live with because it doesn't seem like you plan on apologizing or taking back any of the things that you said. You want to claim moral superiority, yet you want to say things that can lead to victimizing people, that have, when other people have said that, led to victimizing people.
Why are you so afraid of the truth? Because the truth is what helps us all reflect on who we are. So we can look in the mirror and know exactly who we're looking at, so we can live in reality and not a fake world. Lies aren't going to get you forward in life. The truth is, when you accept it, it might be hard to swallow, but once it's down, you're good to go. You can finally progress.